Joel Sherman back here with you. There is Shohei Ohtani just out in the outfield. This is MasterCard Ballpark Cam. So, Joel, this is today. And he is, that is pitching, right? He's not just throwing. He's pitching. He's thinking pitching. How about that? Clayton Kershaw goes today. That ball game coming up right after we're done here. We'll take you out live baseball right here on MLB Network. Dodgers and Guardians. Dodgers looking for the sweep. Ohtani looking to homer in 4 straight games. It'll be the first time he did so in his career. He's slugging .657 right now, but he has started to throw like that and throw from a mound, and we're getting closer. And you and I have had dust-ups on this before where, look, we agree, it's fantastic that he can do both. Should he be doing both? Is that the best way to utilize this remarkable talent? That's my question.
First of all, I like he was wearing a Brooklyn Dodger hat.
Oh, was it? I didn't see that.
Okay. I was warming up there. Look, this conversation is like 10 years old. This feels like the, who's the GOAT? Jordan or LeBron? Like, how many times can we have the same conversation?
Lots of times, as it turns out, yeah.
Yeah, and the reality is this. He wouldn't be going through all this unless he was going to pitch again. Part of the promise the Dodgers have with him when they give him the $700 million is you're going to continue to do this. You're a unicorn, and you're going to try to do this. I would point out that Ohtani was pretty close to being activated to pitch in the postseason out of the bullpen last year. So this is all slow play because all that matters to the Dodgers is to get him enough innings between now and October 1st so that he could start at least once around in the postseason because they still have the dream. It's him, it's Snell, it's Glasnow, it's Yamamoto, it's Sasaki. Like last year they didn't win because of starting pitching. They won in spite of it. And they still have this dream that all of these guys will line up and dominate. And they have one great advantage, which is huge. We shouldn't overlook it. The rule change is they could carry 14 pitches because he counts as a DH. So they could really limit him to 3 innings and 4 innings and build him up as slow as they want because they're operating with 14 pitches the day he comes back.
That's a good point. You look back at, I'll say this, the last time, and really the only time he's been a great hitter, meaning, early in his career he was slugging 500, and we thought that was phenomenal. But he started slugging 600 a few years ago, 2023. And so he had one great hitting season while he was still starting. That was 2023. And he missed all of September that year because he got hurt. And it wasn't just the arm where he needed Tommy John or UCL surgery, whatever it turned out to be, bracing. It was also the hip.
Yeah.
So there's
a danger.
There's a danger of doing both at the same time, as great as it is.
Think about this as the danger. He has 20 homers and 11 steals right now. How many players will have 20 homers and 11 steals all season? That's a third of the way through the season.
Yeah.
This is almost like, hey, what else can the guy do? He did 50-50 last year. Do you think if he just hits this year that 60 homers is out of the question?
Right.
For this guy, it's almost like he could do, he can name
so what would
the
you do?
goal.
So it sounds like you're pumping the brakes a little bit, where you used to say, have this guy do both.
I would not. They have enough other starting pitching and we saw last year, they know how to pitch through the postseason with bullpenning and stuff to survive. They are not going to win if he isn't leading off and batting 5 times a game. And I think anything that risks that's a problem. But a promise is a promise, BK. And the promise to the player is this is what you're going to do, and this is what drives him. It's part of it's part of the greatness.
Yeah, he's got to pitch in some fashion. They've got to figure out some way. There is danger there. All right, we'll get to the Phillies a little bit here now. The Phillies, meantime, have established themselves as the top team in the National League. They're the best record in baseball. Impressive last night in beating the Braves. Ranger Suarez, 6 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts. This is our showcase game tonight. The Phillies and the Braves head-to-head. You can see it live right here on MLB Network, 6:30 Eastern Time. Good matchup, too. A.J. Smith-Shawver has been quite good for Atlanta. He's got a 3.67 ERA. But Zach Wheeler, 22-plus innings, unscored upon. He's thrown, 6 or more scoreless innings in 3 straight starts. Last guy to do that. Good guy, Grover Cleveland Alexander. You liked Grover, right?
He was good with the press.
He was. When you're riding the rails and riding the trains. This is, right now, the Phillies have shown, kind of we expect, hey, where is this great Phillies team? This looks kind of like a great Phillies team, doesn't it?
And I think it starts with the rotation. I think it starts with Wheeler, as good as like Luzardo's been and Christopher Sanchez. He's got 22 2/3 shutout innings coming into this. I covered Zach early in his career. He couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Now he's the most durable starter in the sport. Like you wind him up and he's great every year. Do you know he's second in Phillies history? And by the way, Phillies history didn't start 10 years ago.
Right.
In ERA plus.
Wow.
Zach Wheeler is that, and he's great in the postseason. And this is the strength of the team. We're doing this. Nola is on the IL right now with an ankle sprain. He got off poorly. I talked to Dave Dombrowski today. He's the guest everyone should listen to, a little thing called The Show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman, our podcast. We talked to Dave Dombrowski, their president of baseball operations. Nola is not going to come back on the 30th when he's due. He's a little further back, and he's like, Dombrowski said his fastball had really ticked up just before he hurt his ankle. We expect him to be Aaron Nola again. Well, you have those five. Mick Abel came up and made a terrific spot start. Andrew Painter might be the best pitching prospect in the sport, is about to make his fourth start today in AAA. They have stuff to fire. Now, you never have enough starting pitch anytime you do this.
Right.
But when Nola comes back, Taijuan Walker, who's pitched well, goes to the bullpen. Plus, you have those two guys in AAA. Yeah. I think this is the best rotation for depth, quality at the top, and potential at AAA.
It's I remember just saying, you're thinking, oh, come on, that pitching, so what? In the playoffs last year, nobody had a fourth starter. It was bullpen action by even the top, except the Yankees had an extra starter. When Cortez came back, that was like the only club that could go 4 or 5 deep. Meantime, news on another starter, and bad news for the Astros. They're pitching deep too, but they lost another pitcher. Ronel Blanco, this from Brian McTaggart earlier in the day, needs Tommy John surgery. He's out for the rest of this year. Expect him back in 2026, so they're coming back out. It is Tommy John surgery. He had a terrific year 2 years ago. Was pretty good this year, but not great. So again, the Astros lose Ronel Blanco, who's one of our favorites, if not the favorite. You're like the favorite kid on this panel.
You know, I didn't think I was going to blush this early in the show.
Double duty D-Row. He's
Let's
back.
go.
Mark DeRosa as well. You want these are going to be stress innings now. You're going to be throwing here.
I made a comment yesterday on our show about Ronald Acuña being the most talented Brave to ever wear the uniform, and wow.
Talented.
That's what I want people to understand. Not best player. I got it with Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, Jones, Murphy. 5 tools. How you judge. I don't know if we'll ever see him steal the bags again, the 70 bags, but to watch him come back, hit a ball 470, throw a guy out at second base, you can't deny it.
I keep throwing it out there, and I don't want to keep harping on it, but is Acuña a superstar? At his ceiling, clearly. But on the whole, again, you see, you have to play. You have to be out on the field. He's blown out his knee twice. And then he had the 1 year of a 112 OPS plus. So, no, he's not in the conversation, even with Dale Murphy, even Chipper Jones.
No. In that conversation.
But what's the actual value? Because, again, Strider, I put them together because they're kind of the same thing. The ceiling is tantalizing. What's the actual production?
I think for me, he's a top 5 player in the game when healthy. That being said, and I'm sure he's motivated by the fact that he wants to be a part of a World Series champion. I mean, he was a massive reason why they got to that post, but then Alex Anthopoulos went out and addressed his injuries, bringing in Peterson and Soler, and replaced them a myriad of ways, and they went on to have a very productive season and win a World Series. So I'm sure he's motivated. Listen, you can't bury a guy who I blew out my knee in 2001. It took me a full year. It took me probably 7 months to get back on the field. It took me a full year to never think about it again.
Right, but
so you can't penalize him.
We're not penalizing him, but when Aaron Judge only a few years ago, remember we were talking about, is he one of the best players in baseball? And one of the reasons he didn't come up in that conversation all the time, Joel, this is several years ago, is he couldn't finish seasons. His totals weren't there. Now, with the exception of running into the fence that 1 year, he's playing full years. So you have to be able to produce this. All right, where are you on the whole thing?
Yeah, I think you're being unfair, and I think particularly to Strider. But just to take Acuña, and let's do it together. 2 years ago, not in some Jurassic time, Acuña was the MVP. At 25. Strider was 4th in the Cy Young at 24. These are still prime age guys who have had injury. To your point, staying on the field might be a skill, but we're talking about blown out knees. It isn't like he punched a wall or something where you say, that guy.
But it's a non-contact.
It's a non-contact. So you have to worry about it moving forward. The Strider one, I think, is unfair because Strider has an injury now that every good pitcher has. They lose a year because they have Tommy John surgery. If we were having this conversation about Tarek Skubal before last season, going into his age 26 season, or kind of where Strider is now, we'd go kind of like 4.50 ERA. He's made 70 starts in the league. Strider's only 26. The last time he was healthy, he was great. And I just think that he had an injury that almost every starting pitcher is going to have, and we haven't seen him be serial healthy for a while. And I think that to kind of throw him in with Justin Steele and David Peterson is kind of like not to appreciate.
I didn't throw them in there with that. That's where they actually land.
But there's a narrative. There's a narrative to it, which is he had Tommy John surgery,
right?
Like which most pitchers have,
right? But even in his great year, even in his great year, it was a 1.13 OPS ERA plus. That's not great. His strikeouts were great. His actual run prevention wasn't. So there was still a question: is it your high end ceiling, or is it what you're actually producing? He hasn't actually produced that great season yet.
But to the point of who you had on with the shredder, like at the end of that season, if we said he's a free agent, he would have gotten like $300-400 million. But even with the run prevention thing, because the stuff is brilliant, his intellect for pitching is great, and usually your kind of best pitching years are still where he is now.
Yeah, but you'd be taking a flyer.
He's got to do. Listen, let's be honest. He's got to do more on the mound. I know he's had one good season, but for me, you can't not getting hurt, but I've never been on the bump, but I know if you're firing 98 to 100 miles an hour, you can let the big dog eat and just go get it with heaters. I want to see, like, with a little diminished velocity, I want to see if he can handle and manipulate. He showed flashes, and he's just coming back. He showed flashes last night. The 3-2 slider to Kyle Schwarber. Some elevated heaters, but I also saw him get worked pretty clean. 11 pitch at bat by Bryson Stott. So, like, he came out. I think the thing, he put a bullseye on him last year when he said it's World Series or bust coming out of spring training, and then he gets hurt. Yeah, I just would like to see him kind of go about it a little bit differently, kind of get behind Sale, make his starts, get healthy, and then go out and be kind of that guy.
He's had 3 postseason starts all against the Braves. One was good, the other 2 not so good. So I'm not even, am I being a little far? Yeah, a little bit, but we talk about them at the highest level.
You're not wrong.
They have not produced that. Thank you. You're now the new favorite. No, I don't know about this guy.
I separate Strider from Acuña. Yes. Acuña, when right, does things that two, maybe 3 guys in the entire league can do.
Yeah, no. That season, I'm not minimizing that, is a flat out.
And came back and went
one of the highest
first pitch.
And he also, they crushed people in the first inning and teams couldn't recover. That's when they had that historic year. So no, that year is a high-end MVP year.
That year isn't a black and white year with Babe Ruth in the background. It's 2 years ago, BK.
Yeah. I know.
To think that these guys will be great players again, 4th in the Cy Young, NL MVP is something. And by the way, I think the big picture thing is the Braves cannot be a playoff team if they're not. Like, this is 2 years ago, the Braves were a scoring machine. That team isn't there. Ozzie Albies isn't as good a player anymore for some reason. Michael Harris, who got off poorly last year and ultimately got good by the end, is off terribly again. Matt Olson is a little less than he was 2 years ago. Austin Riley's a little less than he was 2 years ago. They don't have minor league depth coming. They're built around this core of guys where these 2 guys are going to be the best pitcher and best hitter on the team. So the point is, they need to be those guys. Otherwise, the Braves aren't going to hang with the Phillies and the Mets.
I think they can get there. I don't want them to. They can't get there without Acuña being fantastic. I think they can get there without Strider. I like Smith-Shawver. I think Schwellenbach's one of the better pitchers in the National League. I think Sale is taking. That's why.
Actually, Grant Holmes has been real good for them.
So I need Strider to just go. Do your thing.
But if they're going to be the team,
but he's not that guy. He's a thoroughbred.
Right.
He is racing.
We'll see.
And as I said,
we'll see it come back.
I bring up like Jacob deGrom. Is Jacob deGrom great when he pitches? Yep. But he's a dragster. He's the fastest thing on the track. But then the thing blows up and flies off the track.
He is only 26, and he had the injury that almost every power pitcher is going to have at some point. And I think it's only fear
overcome it.
Right. Yeah, but he's pulling his hamstring having a catch. Again, that's another. Come on.
That was Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson had.
But that's that's unfair too. But it's like when that happened, the whole sport went, "Oh, come on! Like, come on! You're so jacked and you can't stay healthy. Like, you know
the feeling, BK.
Yeah, that's not easy. It's not easy being so huge. Yeah,
G-Ro, I agree with you on your analysis that Acuña has to be great, Strider has to be good because they have other starting pitcher. But if they're going to do what Strider said last year, which is championship buzz, Strider has to be an ace. Like him and Sale have to be able to walk into a ballpark and say, we're winning these two.
By the way, Phillies again take game 1 last night. They